Hello, and thank you for watching The Righteous Kitchen, a cooking and baking blog found at www.therighteouskitchen.blogspot.com. Today I am making spaghetti and meatballs. So I have my ingredients out here prepped. I've got my seasonings, my oatmeal, my eggs, my meat. The meat I am using is ground turkey breast, and I always fortify that with per 1 pound of meat. I use 1 tablespoon of kitchen bouquet browning and seasoning liquid and 1 tablespoon of dehydrated mushroom powder. So that's already been mixed in there. So I'm using 1.5 pounds of the fortified ground turkey breast and 1/2 pound of breakfast sausage. So you can also use, beef if you want beef. You could mix it in there with Italian sausage. So you have choices, but this is my standard go-to is the lean ground turkey breast and breakfast sausage. So what I'm going to do to add to that is I'm going to need 1/4 cup of diced bell peppers. I have red and green, and it's not going to take much. And then I'm also using 1/4 cup of onions. So everything is just 1/4 cup. So what I did was just kind of chop off the bottom of one of the bell peppers. So I'm just going to give it a quick little chop just to break it down a little bit. I'm not really too worried about the dice right now. I just want to get it chopped up, and then I'm going to come in and chop everything together in just a moment. And then I have some fresh parsley, probably got a couple tablespoons worth. And then my onion. I'm not going to use all of this onion. It's not going to take very much. Alright, that looks pretty good. So, I'm just going to get everything in a pile and get everything fine minced. Alright, so we got a fine mince on that. That looks good. You could also use a food processor, but you just want a nice mince on that. Okay, I have everything in a mixing bowl. We're going to put the vegetables in. We've got our eggs, oatmeal, lemon juice, and this is the same recipe that I used for my meatloaf. We're just shaping them into balls today. My righteous seasoning and a tablespoon of butter. All right, I'll come back. I'm going to use the mixer to blend that. Okay, I do use my mixer to blend the ingredients together. So all of my ingredients have been prepped and they're in the mixing bowl. So you just want to make sure everything is well incorporated. And there it is, easy. And everything is blended thoroughly. All right. I'm going to get a tray out so that I can go ahead and start shaping these balls. And I'm going to get some rubber gloves because it's just easier for me. I like to use rubber gloves when I'm working with ground turkey. All right, so And while I'm shaping these, I'm gonna go ahead and get my skillet out and get that going over medium-high heat. So, what I do to make this go a little bit faster is I use a cookie scoop. And, you know, you just use whatever size cookie scoop that you want. Okay, so we just get in here. I just kind of level it off with my hand. And then right on the cookie tray. You can bake these, but today I am going to go ahead and fry them in the electric skillet. Okay, so we want to coat the pan pretty good with some vegetable oil. Make sure it's nice and hot. I want to get this pan coated with oil. I want to make sure that every surface area of it has oil so that these meatballs don't stick. All right, so we're just going to put them in the pan. And we don't have to cook these all the way through. I just want, I want to get them browned is all. They don't have to cook completely through, but by the time they get browned, they're mostly cooked. All right. So just start giving them a quarter of a turn. Okay, you kind of want these cooked around each side to where they'll toughen up and not break on you. So when you get to that point where you can just toss them around and they're brown but not falling apart, that's about all that you need to cook them at this point, because we're going to put these in the sauce and they're going to cook in that sauce for about 20 to 30 minutes. So they're browned all around, but they're not fully cooked. I'm going to put a little more oil and then I'm going to fry up the second batch. Okay, when you're doing this second round, you don't want your heat too high to where it starts burning little bits on the bottom, because I am going to continue on and use this same pan to make the spaghetti sauce. So I want to make sure that these little bits aren't turning black. So just adjust your heat if it starts getting too hot. They're like this, they're not falling apart and they're brown. Then you can go ahead and remove them. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and turn off my heat because I don't want anything sticking and burning. This is great right here. Okay, I'm just going to move this off to the side. I've got a spatula here that I'm going to keep with it. And then what I'm going to do is get my ingredients out to prep the spaghetti sauce. This recipe made 41 meatballs. So that's going to depend on what size cookie scoop you use. So I just used a standard one, and these look like they're about an inch, inch and a half diameter meatballs. So I just put them back on the trays that I had shaped them on. It doesn't matter. I didn't want to dirty another pan. They're not fully cooked anyway. So I'm just going to push this over to the side. I could even, let it cool down a little bit, pop them in the refrigerator until I'm ready to make the sauce. So that's what I'll do. And then I'll come back and get the ingredients ready for the sauce. I'm getting my spices ready, and I'm using my righteous seasoning as a base. So what I want to do is, I'm trying to translate this, I'm going to do 2 teaspoons of righteous seasoning, and I'm going to put these through the spice blender. And then I'm going to put a half a teaspoon of oregano. We're going to do a half a teaspoon of that. We're going to do a half a teaspoon of basil. I'm going to do a teaspoon of chili powder. And I'm going to put a half a teaspoon of garlic. There's already some garlic in my own spice blend, but I'm going to put some extra. All right, so I'm going to grab the spice mill real quick. That's this beater blade. And I'm going to pulse this. I just want a fine powder blend, like if I was getting a mix packet at the store. All right, so I've got all the spices. Okay, so here's my spice blend. I can always go back and adjust that if I need to later. On the base is the contadina tomato paste. And the way that works is for every jar or every can of tomato paste, you put 2 cans of water. So I'm going to use 3 cans of paste and 6 cans of water. So let me go ahead and open these up. And I will make my mom's spaghetti sauce another time for a video. Her recipe is on my blog. It's www.therighteouskitchen.blogspot.com. And it's made, with the ground meats, but this time instead of the ground meats, we're using meatballs. And so all we really need to do now is just put a flavored tomato sauce together. All right, so I've got these opened. I'm going to get some water real quick. So if these are 6, it'd be 12, 24, 36 ounces of water. So that's going to be 4 cups of water is what we're going to need. Okay, I got my water, my spices, and I'm going to go ahead and get the heat back on the electric skillet. So I have the bits that were on the pan. They're still there. That's a lot of flavor. And I am going to put these spices right through a little strainer. Give them a little bit of strain. All right, that got rid of some of that twigginess for me. Okay, so I'm gonna hit just a little bit of oil to cook these spices for just a second. And if it starts to heat up on you too much, just get some water. All right, so I'm gonna add a little bit of the water right now. That was 4 cups, so for every can of the tomato paste, you put 2 cans of water. So this translated to 4 cups. And if the sauce starts splattering at you, just turn it down until you can control it. You don't want to be wearing the tomato sauce. I'm going to go ahead and use a whisk. Now you could add some more water, just a little bit at a time so you can get this tomato paste worked in here. I'm going to grab the sugar real quick. Mom always puts a little bit of sugar, and that helps to cut the acidity from the tomatoes. So you're going to want to go and adjust this. I'm going to start with about a tablespoon. Okay, I'm gonna get this hot and bubbly. It's starting to boil right now, so I'm gonna reduce that heat and cover it. And I'm gonna let this bubble for about 10 minutes. So it's on low, covered, and we're gonna let these flavors come back together. And then I'll come back and put the meatballs in. Okay, I have my pasta sauce here. And it's been simmering away for about 15 minutes. So all the flavors have come together. And what I'm going to do now is go ahead and add the meatballs. Now these meatballs have been just browned a little bit. They're not cooked all the way. So what I'm going to do is let these simmer in the sauce here for about 20 minutes. That's all it's going to take. All right. Now be gentle when you're stirring them in here. You don't want to go breaking up the meatballs. I just want to get them in here, get them submerged. Using a spatula works good because it can get in there between the meatballs. All right, so Let this simmer gently, 20 to 30 minutes. All right, and then after that, we'll come back and we'll taste them for seasoning. Okay, these meatballs have been simmering for about 20 or 30 minutes, and it's done. And I'm gonna go ahead and check the sauce. I wanna make sure that the seasonings are right. And I've got this on low now because I really don't want tomato sauce splashing on me. Okay, that's really good, but I am gonna adjust it a little bit. I'm gonna put some more sugar, about another tablespoon of sugar, and you're gonna adjust this to your liking. So if you like something in particular, you know, add more of that. I'm gonna add another half a teaspoon of garlic powder, and then I'm gonna add another teaspoon of righteous seasoning, and I think that should just about do it. So I'll let this go for about another 5 minutes to get everything blended in. And then we'll come back and check it again. Okay, I let this simmer a few more minutes to get those seasonings adjusted. All right, and I'll go ahead and oh, that's good right there. Okay, let me put this off to the side a little bit. And I roasted spaghetti squash. So here it is before I shredded it. But what you do is you just come in here and scrape everything out. And then this is 1/2 of a spaghetti squash. So that was a little bit too much of a serving. So what I'm gonna do is go ahead and put probably half of this back in the bowl. And I'm gonna use this spaghetti squash as a serving container. So, all right, so just wanna fluff it up. And what I do is I scrape in the direction of these strands. So I just go straight across like that, all the way over. You get a really pretty strand that way. All right, so I want to make sure that you can see what's going on in here. All right, and I'm going to grab a plate. Okay, let me grab a plate real quick. Okay, so we have our spaghetti squash here, and we have homemade meatballs and Linda's spaghetti sauce. And we're just gonna use the spaghetti squash as the container. You just put it in there, and then I sprinkle it with some Parmesan. Grated Parmesan is best. And then you could even put this, you can put mozzarella over it and put it under the broiler for a few minutes. But that's it. Try this spaghetti squash. I think you'll really like it. I like it better than pasta. It's just delicious. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get some pictures of this, and I will put them at the end of the video. But there it is. Meatballs with Linda's spaghetti sauce, served in a spaghetti squash bowl. Try this and leave a comment and let us know how you liked it. And then there's going to be a video for the roasted spaghetti squash. So go ahead and watch that. And thank you for watching. Please take a moment to like, subscribe, and share.